Hello, rats. This is your Lord, your Savior, Leonok, and I am here with a quick, what's it called? PSA? I don't know. Something like that. But this particular recording was one I did of chapter 5 of Dracula late last year, actually around this same time. I was going to release it then, but some things came up and I can't remember what, and it ended up not happening. And I dare say I wasn't perhaps a huge fan of how chapter 5 turned out, at least for me. I found it a little bit, it's sort of like a filler. But I mean, fillers are sort of important for a reason because they help bring context. But this particular chapter is going to go into the conversations between our protagonist's lover back home and their respective friends. And I think it's a bit interesting. So this is from last year. The deaths and everything that happened around that time was sort of handled. The celebrations that I had prepared didn't happen, but this year, hopefully, something will. So I'm going to be attending a sort of gathering with some other pagans out in the woods around the same time of Samhain. So we're going to be doing a special festival or ritual then. So I will be happy and looking forward to that. But I thought it at least necessary to allow you all sort of a brief explanation as to why this sort of thing is maybe sounding the way it is at the beginning. It is for that reason. It's from last year. So, or possibly maybe the year before that. I don't know. This feels quite long ago, but I want to say it was last year. So no, actually. Oh my god, it might have been before that. Holy shit. Was it though? I don't know. No. You know what? I don't know what it was. But yes, it was around the same time. So, anyways, enjoy the episode. Enjoy the story and the chapter. All right? I will be uploading the next one very soon. So, keep in touch, lovelies. Until next time, and please enjoy the reading. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Songs and Sorcery. It is I, your host, Leonok, and I'm here with my co host, Grimmy, and we will be reading another excerpt, another chapter from Bram Stoker's Dracula, Royal Collector's Edition. It has come to my notice as well that perhaps I've been a bit behind on these uploads, but I'm sort of preparing a lot of things right now. I have in mind to prepare a type of ritual, I believe, for the Samhain thing arriving pretty soon, for Kasati Sela. I'm trying to sort of do some things a bit different this year. So I'm sort of collecting items, materials, trying to have some people over, just sort of, those, mainly those things. That's what I'm sort of working on at the moment. Aside from any sort of other ideas, I'm trying to get into the whole more meditative aspect to try and, focus myself in a way where the spirits can feel comfortable enough to be here with me. So it is mostly that. Dare I say it's quite interesting. I'm just trying to sort of get as deep into this as I can because I do take this quite seriously when it comes to those matters. There were recently a couple of deaths of people that we know and friends of family members or people that they know. And there's been a lot of things happening recently. And, we all hope for the best. We all wish for the best. And we understand that sometimes these spirits, they depart us in a way that even we cannot fully explain or understand. But it is a time of seeking closure. It is a time of giving mourning, gratefulness for the things that we have, and a goodbye to the things either we don't want or a farewell to the things that we miss that were a part of ourselves. So, Samhain, or as I call it, Suelta, um, the ritual of release, those sort of synonymous connotations when it comes to certain aspects of the celebration is what I'm trying to focus on for this time. But that is that. I am doing well myself. I'm just, keeping up with work. I have plans to go out of town, perhaps out of the country in a few weeks. So I've been sort of preparing myself for that, getting certain affairs in order, and as well as money and everything else for, paying some certain things off. So, regular mundane shit. The college is fine, university is fine without me for the time being. So they sort of know I'm going sort of, just
analyzing these sort of things now. We actually have some new teachers that were introduced, but that's for a later date, a later video. So, in continuation of the previous chapters, a quick synopsis. Um, our main character sort of found our Dracula in a somewhat different state than he was prior. He looks a bit younger. He looks a bit angrier, and Dracula took a shovel to the head by our protagonist here, by Mr. Harker. Not perhaps the smartest move, and he doesn't really see an actual way out, and he sort of pulled this shit. So I'm not sure if we're going to get to that immediately. The title is a bit different this time. The title for Chapter 5 will be known as Letters, Lucy, and Mina. This will be read from a female's perspective. I'm not sure if we're going to be doing too many female voices, but I will do what I can when I feel like it. All right, let us begin. Letter from Miss Mina Murray to Miss Lucy Westenra, 9 May. My dearest Lucy, forgive my long delay in writing, but I have been simply overwhelmed with work. The life of an assistant schoolmistress is sometimes trying. I am longing to be with you, and by the sea, where we can talk together freely and build our castles in the air. I've been working very hard lately because I want to keep up with Jonathan's studies, and I've been practicing shorthand very assiduously. When we are married, I shall be able to be useful to Jonathan, and if I can stenograph well enough, I can take down what he wants to say in this way and write it out for him on the typewriter, at which also I am practicing very hard. He and I sometimes write letters in shorthand, and he is keeping a stenographic journal of his travels abroad. When I am with you, I shall keep a diary in the same way. I don't mean one of those 2 pages to the week with Sundays squeezed in a corner diaries, but a sort of journal which I can write in whenever I feel inclined. I do not suppose they will be much of interest to other people, but it is not intended for them. I may show it to Jonathan some day if there is in it not intended for them, but some day if there is in it anything worth sharing, but it is really an exercise book. I shall try to do what I see journalists do, interviewing and writing descriptions and trying to remember conversations. I am told that with a little practice, one can remember all that goes on and that one hears said during a day. However, we shall see. I will tell you of my little plans when we meet. I have just had a few hurried lines from Jonathan from Transylvania. He is well and will be returning in about a week. I am longing to hear all his news. It must be so nice to see strange countries. I wonder if Jonathan and I, shall ever see them together. There's a 10 o'clock bell ringing. Goodbye, your loving Mina. Tell me all the news when you write. You've not told me anything for a long time. I hear rumors, and especially of a tall, handsome, curly haired man. Letter. Lucy Westenra to Mina Murray. 17 Chatham Street, Wednesday. My dearest Mina, I must say it to you, tax me very unfairly with being a bad correspondent. I wrote to you twice since we parted, and your last letter was only your second. Besides, I have nothing to tell you. There is nothing, really nothing, to interest you. Town is very pleasant just now, and we go a good deal to picture galleries and for walks and rides in the park. As to the tall, curly-haired man, I suppose it was the one who was with me at the last pop. Someone has evidently been telling tales. That was Mr. Holmwood. He often comes to see us, and he and Mamma get on very well together. They have so many things to talk about in common. We met some time ago a man that would just do for you, if you were not already engaged to Jonathan. He's an excellent party, being handsome, well off, and of good birth. He's a doctor and really clever. Just fancy! He is only 9 and 20, and he has an immense lunatic asylum all under his own care. Mr. Holmwood introduced him to me, and he called here to see us, and often comes now. I think he is one of the most resolute men I have ever seen, and yet the most calm. He seems absolutely imperturbable. I can fancy what a wonderful power he must have over his patients. He has a curious habit of looking one straight in the face, as if trying to read one's thoughts. He tries this on very much with me, but I flatter myself he has got a tough nut to crack. I know that from my class. Well, from my glass, actually. Do you ever try to read your own face? I do. I can tell you that it is not a bad study. It gives you more trouble than you will. Fancy if you have ever never tried it. He says that I afford him a curious psychological study, and I humbly think I do. I do not, as you know, take sufficient interest in dress to be able to describe the new fashions. Dress is a bore. That's his slang again, but never mind. Arthur says it every day. There, it is all out. Mina, we have told all our secrets to each other since we were children. We've slept together and eaten together and laughed and cried together. And now that I have spoken, I would like to speak more. Oh, Mina, couldn't you guess? I love him. I'm blushing as I write, for although I think he loves me, he's not told me so in words. But oh, Mina, I love him, I love him, I love him! There, that does me good. I wish I were with you, dear, sitting by the fire undressing, as we used to sit. Now I try to tell you what I feel. I do not know how I am writing this even to you. I'm afraid to stop, or I should tear up the letter, and I don't want to stop, for I do so want to tell you all. Let me hear from you at once, and tell me all that you think about it. Mina, I must stop. Good night. Bless me in your prayers, and Mina, pray for my happiness. Lucy, P.S. I need not tell you this is a secret. Good night again. L. Letter. Lucy was sent to Mina Marie, 24th of May. My dearest Mina, thanks and thanks and thanks again for your sweet letter. It was so nice to be able to tell you and to have your sympathy. My dear, it never rains but it pours. How true the old proverbs are. Here I am, who shall be 20 in September, and yet I never had a proposal to the day. Not a real proposal. And today, I've had three. Just fancy. Three proposals in one day. Isn't it awful? I feel sorry, really and truly sorry for two of the poor fellows. Oh, Mina, I'm so happy that I don't know what to do with myself. And three proposals. But for goodness sake, don't tell any of the girls, or they'll be getting all sorts of extravagant ideas and imagining themselves injured and slighted if in the very first day at home they do not lay at 6 at least. Some girls are so vain. You and I, Mina dear, who are engaged and are going to settle down soon soberly into old married women, can despise vanity. Well, I must tell you about the three, but you must keep it a secret, dear, from everyone, except of course Jonathan. You would tell him because I would. If I were in your place, certainly tell Arthur. A woman ought to tell her husband everything, don't you think so, dear? And I must be fair. Men like women, certainly their wives, to be quite as fair as they are, and women, I am afraid, are not always quite as fair as they should be. Well, my dear, number one came just before lunch. I told you of him, Dr. John Seward, the lunatic asylum man, with a strong jaw and a good forehead. He was very cool outwardly, but was nervous all the same. He had evidently been schooling himself as to all sorts of little things, and remembered them. But he almost managed to sit down on a silk hat, which men don't generally do when they are cool. And then when he wanted to appear at ease, he kept playing with a lancet in a way that made me nearly scream. He spoke to me, Mina, very straightforwardly. He told me how dear I was to him, though he had known me so little, and what his life would be with me to help and cheer him. He was going to tell me how unhappy he would be if I did not care for him. But when he saw me cry, he said that he was a brute and would not add to my present trouble. Then he broke off and asked if I could love him in time, and when I shook my head, his hands trembled, and there was some hesitation. He asked me if I cared already for anyone else. He put it very nicely, saying that he did not want to wring my confidence from me, but only to know, because if a woman's heart was free, a man might have hope. And then, Mina, I felt a sort of duty to tell him that there was someone. I only told him that much. Then he stood up and he looked very strong and very grave as he took both my hands in his and said he hoped I would be happy, that if I ever wanted a friend, I must count him one of my best. Oh, Mina dear, I can't help crying. And you must excuse his letter being all blotted. Being proposed to is all very nice and all that sort of thing, but it isn't at all a happy thing when you have to see a poor fellow whom you know loves you honestly going away looking all broken-hearted, and to know that, and no matter what he may say at the moment, you are passing quite out of his life. My dear, I must stop here at present. I feel so miserable, though I am so happy. Evening. Arthur has just gone, and I feel in better spirits than when I left off, so I can go on telling you about the day. Well, my dear, number two came after lunch. He is such a nice fellow, an American from Texas, and he looks so young and so fresh that it seems almost impossible that he has been so many places and has had such adventures. I sympathize with poor Desdemona, or Desdemona, when she had such a dangerous dream poured in her ear, even by a black man. I suppose that we women are such cowards that we think a man will save us from fears, and we marry him. I know now that I would do if, well, what I would do if I were a man and wanted to make a girl love me. No, I don't, for there was Mr. Morris telling us his stories, and Arthur never told any. And yet, my dear, I am somewhat previous. Mr. Quincy P. Morris found me alone. It seems that a man always does find a girl alone. No, he doesn't, for Arthur tried twice to make a chance, and in helping him all I could, I am not ashamed to say it now. I must tell you beforehand that Mr. Morris doesn't always speak slang. That is to say, he never does so to strangers, or before them, for he is really well educated and has exquisite manners. But he found out that it amused me to hear him talk American slang, and whenever I was present, there was no one to be shocked. He said such funny things. I'm afraid, my dear. Sorry, a brief pause. I thought my pausing stopped. All right, I apologize for that. Let us continue with the story, page 55. I'm afraid, my dear, he has to invent it all, for it fits exactly into whatever else he has to say. But this is a way slang has. I do not know myself if I shall ever speak slang. I do not know if Arthur likes it, as I have never heard him use any as yet. Well, Mr. Morris sat down beside me and looked as happy and jolly as he could, but I could see all the same that he was very nervous. He took my hand in his and said ever so sweetly, Miss Lucy, I know I ain't good enough to regulate the fixings of your little shoes, but I guess if you wait till you find a man, that is, you will go join 'em, 7 young women with the lamps when you quit. Won't you just hitch up alongside of me and let us go down the long road together, driving in double harness? Well, he did look so good humored and so jolly that it didn't seem half so hard to refuse him as I did poor Dr. Seward. So I said, as lightly as I could, that I do not know anything of hitching, and that I wasn't broken to harness at all yet. Then he said that he had spoken in a light manner, and he hoped that if he had made a mistake in doing so on so grave, so momentous an occasion for him, I would forgive him. He really did look serious when he was saying it, and I couldn't help feeling a bit serious too. I know, Mina. You would think of me a horrid flirt, though I couldn't help feeling a sort of exultation that he was number two in one day. And then, my dear, before I could say a word, he began pouring out a perfect torrent of love making, laying his very heart and soul at my feet. He looked so earnest over it that I shall never again think a man just must be playful always, and never earnest, because he is merry at times. I suppose he saw something in my face which checked him, for he suddenly stopped, and said with a sort of manly fervor that I could have loved him for if I had been free. Lucy, you're an honest girl. I know. I should not be here speaking to you as I am now if I did not believe you clean grit right through the very depths of your soul. Tell me, like one good fellow to another, is there anyone else that you care for? And if there is, I'll never trouble you a hair's breadth again, but will be, if you will let me, very faithful friend. My dear Mina, why are men so noble when we women are so little worthy of them? Here was I almost making fun of this great-hearted true gentleman. I burst into tears, I'm afraid, my dear. You would think this is a very sloppy letter in more ways than one, and I felt very badly. Why can't they let a girl marry 3 men, or as many as want her, and save all this trouble? But this is heresy. I must not say it. I'm glad to say that, though I was crying, I was able to look into Mr. Morris's brave eyes, and I told him out straight. Yes, there is someone I love, though he has not told me yet that he even loves me. I was right to speak to him so frankly, for quite a light came into his face, and he put out both his hands and took mine. I think I put them into his, and said in a hearty way, That's my brave girl. It's better worth being late for a chance of winning you than being in time for another girl in the world. Don't cry, my dear. If it's for me, I'm a hard nut to crack, and I take it standing up. If that other fella doesn't know his happiness, well, he better look for it soon, or have to deal with me. Little girl, your honesty and pluck have made me a friend, and that's rarer than a lover. It's more unselfish, anyhow. My dear, I'm going to have a pretty lonely walk between this and Kingdom Come. When you give me one kiss, it'll be something to keep off darkness now and then. You can, if you like, for that other good fella. He must be a good fella, my dear, and a fine fella, or you cannot love him. I have spoken yet. That quite won me, Mina, for it was brave and sweet of him, and noble too, to a rival, wasn't it? And he's so sad, so I leant over and kissed him. He stood up with my two hands in his, and as he looked down into my face, I'm afraid I was blushing very much. He said, "Little girl, I'll hold your hand if you kiss me, and if these things don't make us friends, nothing ever will. Thank you for your sweet honesty to me, and goodbye." He wrung my hand, and taking up his hat, went straight out of the room, without looking back, without a tear or a quiver or a pause. And I'm crying like a baby. Oh, why must a man like that be made unhappy when there are lots of girls about who would worship the very ground he trod on? I know I would if I were free, only I don't want to be free. My dear, this quite upset me, and I feel I cannot write of happiness just at once, after telling you of it, and I don't wish to tell the number three until it can be all happy. Ever your loving, Lucy. P.S. Oh, about number three. I needn't tell you of number three, need I? Besides, it was also confused. It seemed only a moment from his coming into the room till both his arms were round me, and he was kissing me. I'm very, very happy, and I don't know what I've done to deserve it. I must only try it in the future to show that I am not ungrateful to God for his goodness to me in sending me such a lover, such a husband, and such a friend. Goodbye. Dr. Seward's Diary, Captain Phonograph, 25th of May. Ebb tide and appetite today. Cannot eat, cannot rest. So diary instead. Since my rebuff of yesterday, I have a sort of empty feeling. Nothing in the world seems of sufficient importance to be to be worth the doing. As I knew that the only cure for this sort of thing was work, I went down amongst the patients. I picked out one who has afforded me a study of much interest. He's so quaint that I am determined to understand him as well as I can. Today I seem to get nearer than ever before to the heart of this mystery. I questioned him more fully than I had ever done, with a view to making myself master of the facts of his hallucination. In my manner of doing it there was, I now see, something of cruelty. I seemed to wish to him to the point of his madness, a thing which I avoid with the patients as I would the mouth of hell. Memorandum: in what circumstances would I not avoid the pit of hell? Omnia Romae Vanelia sunt. Hell has its price. Verb sap. If there be anything behind this instinct, it will be valuable to trace it afterwards accurately, so I had better commence to do so. Therefore, R. M. Renfield, Etat, 59. Sanguine temperament, great physical strength, morbidly excitable, periods of gloom, ending in some fixed idea which I cannot make out. I presume that the sanguine temperament itself and the disturbing influence end in a mentally accomplished finish. A possibly dangerous man, probably dangerous if unselfish. In selfish men, caution is as secure an armor for their foes as for themselves. What I think of on this point is, when self is a fixed point, the centripetal force is balanced with the centrifugal. When duty or cause, etc., is a fixed point, the latter force is paramount, and only accident or a series of accidents can balance it. Letter Quincy P. Morris to Hone. Honorable Arthur Homewood. 25th of May. My dear Art, we've told yarns by the campfire in the prairies, and dressed one another's wounds after trying a landing at the Marquise's, and drunk healths on the shore of Titicaca. There are more yarns to be told, and other wounds to be healed, and another health to be drunk. I have no idea who's reading this. I am assuming it is perhaps the man from Texas. I don't know. It says letter Quincy P. Morris to Honorable Arthur Holmwood. I have no idea. Won't you let this be at my campfire tomorrow night? I have no hesitation in asking you, as I know a certain lady is engaged to a certain dinner party, and that you are free. There will only be one other. Our old pal at the Korea, Jack Seward. He's coming too, and we both want to mingle our weeps over the wine cup and to drink a health with all our hearts to the happiest man in all the wide world, who has won the noblest heart that God has made, and the best worth winning. We promise you a hearty welcome, and a loving greeting, and a health as true as your own right hand. We shall both swear to leave you at home if you drink too deep to a certain pair of eyes. Come! Yours as ever and always, Quincy P. Morris. Telegram from Arthur Homewood to Quincy P. Morris, 26 May. Count me in every time. I bear messages which will make both your ears tingle. Art. All right. That is a quick excerpt. That is perhaps all of chapter 5. These are pretty much going into the journals, I believe, of the people that are involved in Harker's life. Or I believe in the at least the life of Harker's love interest. It just sort of take me by surprise why we sort of went this way. They're essentially world building when it comes to the characters in these stories. I suppose I could read the next chapter quickly, but I am trying to do some other things at the moment. How many pages are there exactly? There's not too many. But I think just for the sake of just for the sake of continuity, let me see here. Let me see how long the other chapter is. I don't know actually. But yes, that was chapter 5. Chapter 6 is known as Mina Murray's journal. I believe I sort of wanted to, well, since we sort of stopped in that chapter, I sort of want to apologize for the long pause I had initially. I believe I thought my recording had ended for the time, so I was sort of panicking for a moment, but I believe it was fine. So you probably won't even hear that pause, to be honest. But I'm just letting you know that I am aware of it. Um, but as you all know, I'm glad that you guys are sort of taking attention and an interest in these sort of stories. But please let me know in the comments if this is still somewhat relevant, or if you would perhaps care to know of something else. I am aware that Halloween is right around the corner. I'm aware that Kosati Sela or Samain is also around the corner as well. It will be on the 31st, which is on a Thursday here in the States. And it is something that I am preparing myself for. The preparations that I'm doing for the event involve me sort of going into the steps as to what sort of is done for this time of year. I come from a different culture, different background, so we don't really exactly do it the same. The family doesn't really do it at all, to be honest. I'm perhaps alone in this, but I am doing my research, and for what I've gathered, is that this is a time where we sort of honor the dead, as I mentioned prior to the reading. So it involved me a lot of insights and readings into into conjuring the dead, or beliefs, sort of manifesting the spirits of the dead of the past. And I think some tips would be good for those of you who are interested. So when it comes to, according to what I've read, I haven't tested it yet, but it feels accurate from a few people that I do follow. Apparently, what you are supposed to do is you're supposed to attain articles or items of people you knew that have long passed. These items are things that they favored. They could even be things like food or drink. These could be family members, even friends, um, or people that you didn't really know as much as you perhaps would have cared to. But these could be anything. It could be perhaps a favorite. It could even be for animals, believe it or not, pets or whatever, spirits, things of that nature. But it could be a favorite bowl. It could be a drink. Um, it could be perhaps fried chicken. It could perhaps be a pastry. It could perhaps be a cookie or a chocolate or something else, something that the sort of members that you care for liked. But ideally, for this time of year, what is usually done is that there is a usually they do a dumb supper, which is essentially a dinner you create or a feast for the spirits as well as for yourself. You create a dinner, and you essentially serve plates to everyone that is there, including the spirits. And so you sort of leave plates out for them to sort of enjoy and be part of the supper. Some people do this sort of thing in silence. I don't think that is an exact rule you have to do. Some people will do that, but I think the purpose of a dinner or a feast this time of year is to talk, to mingle as if they were alive and they're with you. They want to be there. They want to be part of the energy that is there, that comes with conversation, that comes with laughter, reminiscing about stories. But what I'm trying to sort of do is to come up with a type of a solution I was going to create out of some herbs. And with those herbs, I've been looking into some information. I recently acquired the book from Cunningham. I think it's the Encyclopedia of Herbs or something of that nature. And I'll be deferring to that when it comes to these sort of things. And if I sort of get anything out of it, I will let you know all about it. I'm sort of excited about this. I don't directly work that closely with spirits, well, with dead ones anyway. Like I said, I use other types of, I just use songs. I just work differently. I get results from what I do, but it's something that's very, it's a lot more practical. Working with things like spirits or deities for that matter, which I will also be doing, as I will be reciting a prayer to Hecate for this particular ritual. Hopefully, I will be able to do it at this set location with a friend of mine, and we will be doing it there. Will I record it? I don't really see a reason not to. I'm going to be doing things a bit differently because, we are pretty close friends, but perhaps there could be parts of our lives that perhaps we don't want to exactly voiced. But that is where I think parchment comes in. You would essentially write down on this parchment your confessions and things of that nature. If you don't want to read it out loud, but you could probably whisper the name that this is there for, or you could perhaps, write it in separate pieces, and you write the name on the back as to who that note is for, and you throw it into the fire. And the idea is that, that message sort of gets to that person, and the fire acts as a portal, a doorway for the things to cross over. The cauldron can be seen as the womb of the goddess if you're working with one. It can also work if you put it into that, and she's the one that can be housing the dead or helping you transfer over. There's many different iterations of this sort of thing, and some people do it differently. So I'm going to be doing this my way and seeing if that sort of thing works. But I think this time of year, um, honestly, dress up and everything you like. All the parts of the I welcome all that sort of stuff, for the celebrations. But this particular celebration is one that I think um deserves a bit of reverence, because we don't exactly. You can do it every day if you like, but I think because of the significance of this holiday, of what it means, there's a lot of energy behind this. A lot of spirits are already sort of around at this time. So I think it is important for us to sort of take advantage of that and do what we can to establish a communication with them. So there's things like color correspondences. Apparently, blue is good for communication, but I believe that can sort of portend to, oh, I'm sorry, that sort of pertains to, I think, culture. But there may be something synonymous. We'll see. The herbs that I'm going to use in order to try to summon ancestors might be a bit tricky. But I will be, utilizing as best as I can certain foods. I can prepare them and certain things like that. And I'm going to be trying to meditate this week to try and sort of get myself to that point, to see how things go and to see if I can sort of get anything across. And I will keep you updated. I'm rather excited about it. So without further more delay, thank you so much for tuning in for another story. This chapter was a bit short, admittedly so, but the next one, we'll see what happens. I'm sort of just uploading these things as we go, and then we can sort of analyze this and and take it all in. A brief a brief tangent from where we were before with Dracula. That's the whole thing about, but they're sort of showing us some side story happening, and I think that's good for depth. So remember to be kind, and rewind, to reassess, practice, and access greatness, and to use that greatness to not only better your community, better your practice, but better yourself as an individual. Do not surrender your sovereignty lightly. Be safe this time of year. Be mindful of yourself and others, as well as the spirits. Use your protections if you have them. And have fun this year. Use this time to connect. I recently attended a witches' ball, and I will probably put it in the video, honestly. I will show you what happened when I was there. There was a costume contest, which I almost won, but I lost to Beetlejuice. Go figure. So there's a lot of things that sort of happened there. The food, the drinks, whatever, which I did not take any because I was starving and it was mostly for cash and all I had was card. But people were dressed up, people were adamant. There was a band that performed there. They did a blessing with the thing there. And there are a lot of witchy stuff happening, like rituals or summonings. Not really. It was a ball. It was simply meant for entertainment and to enjoy yourselves. But it was a brilliant time because you were able to network and communicate with various people there. There were various shops, and to be honest, I was a little bit apprehensive. I didn't make as much networking as communications. There was someone I already knew that was there. there was a shop owner, but in hindsight, getting into touch with more shops or more people that practice would be ideal. Though I did speak with some people that I believe live a bit farther. But yes, I'm sort of, getting myself into the community here and I want to be more involved. So we'll see where that goes. So I will definitely probably upload a video of that with a short thing. I don't think it's going to be as long, but we'll see where that goes. Um, uh, be safe, everyone. Take care. And until next time, goodbye.